Truly, MemeMichelle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I want you to get involved. I want you to ask questions. Oh, we are rocking and rolling. There we go. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's get us started. There we go. Is that it? Jesus. Welcome to another episode of Hashtag I'm Just Saying. I'm yours truly, MemeMichelle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, asking questions, get involved, leave your comments. I'm trying to pull y'all up, but I don't see it. That's okay, we'll get it. Anyway, we're going to have a great show today. I want you to understand this is a very serious show. We have fun a lot, but this time, this is a very serious subject. This is part one of when they see us, the effect that it had on us. But before we get started, we're going to talk about the drinks that we're having today. I figured we were going to need a drink because this topic is heavy, but I didn't feel like making anything, so I gave the fellas Peach Crown. You know I love them because they don't have this anymore in the stores, and I bust out a bottle and a half of them because I think we're going to need it. I think we're going to need that liquid medication. And, and then me and my girl Michelle, the most singing sister I ever met in my whole entire life, other than my sister, we're drinking 1800 raspberry margaritas, and oh boy, is it tasty. If you had taste of it, Lord help the day. Let me, come on, see it. Oh my. Oh Jesus. Toast. Yes. You know I get creative, right? I said I wasn't making that. But
oh shit.
Shazam. Put your little something. Put a little peach in there. See how it's turning colors? I know that's gonna be delicious. Let me just
You turn wild, so you know.
Yeah, y'all want a sponsor? You see how okay, let me see. I'm gonna let y'all know if it's good. Oh my word. That is a ministry. But anyway, can y'all just take a little time out to introduce yourself? We're gonna start from this end, and he is our special guest. I just found out about him last night, but something tells me he's gonna be an asset to the panel today. So let's start from this way and just work your way on down.
All right. Well, my name is Vince B. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm so glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. We might have to sing a little song. Let's do a little duet song.
Hi, I'm Michelle Davis. I'm Michelle Davis.
And she's been on the show before.
I have. I'm very excited about being here today to talk about this very, I would say, sensitive subject.
Yes.
Very deep subject.
And who is this nice young man?
My name is Ed Davis. I'm retired from the government, and I'm ready to lay down my views and see what you guys think about it.
And of course, this is the dynamic duo. These are the Davises. Now, my mics are broken, so we're going to have to speak up a little bit.
Okay.
And let's just get started. Today, we're discussing the Netflix series, When They See Us, about the Exonerated Five. They used to call them the Central Park Five, but they've asked everybody to call them the Exonerated Five. So, did the episode, is it rolling? Vince, can you look and see if it's rolling? Because it's not coming up. It's not coming up on yours, is it either, Michelle? Are we rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's get this party started. I'll answer your questions later. So, we're talking about the Netflix series When They See Us. It happened in April 18th, 1989. In 1989, I was 17 years old. I had just decided that I didn't want to go to high school anymore, that I was going to go get my GED, and I went to cosmetology school. I was as green as they came. I didn't know much of anything. And I could only imagine at 17 if what happened to those 5 young men happened to me, what type of situation I would be in. I remember at the age of 21, I was at work. I had been doing hair for a minute. I went to pick my boyfriend up from his house. His car was on a flat. And I went to the grocery store first. I was going to cook us dinner. I specifically remember I was going to make spaghetti. So I went and picked up the groceries, and I went to his house to pick him up, and on the way there, a car jumped in front of me and slammed on the brakes. And immediately, I started to cuss. Next thing you know, I look up, and there are like 10 cop cars surrounding me. And they yanked me out the car, and I'm like, oh my God. And he was like, don't move. And I was like, but I didn't do anything. And he was like, don't move, put your hands on the steering wheel. They pulled a sawed-off shotgun and pointed it to my head. They yanked me out the car, and they said, you're under arrest. And I'm like, for what? And I'm running my mouth. And let's fast forward. We're all at the police station. They put he and I in rooms side by side. And I know they did that purposely now because I'm 40 plus, and they wanted to hear our conversation. And I'm like, what is going on? And he was like, I didn't do anything. That's all he kept saying was, I didn't do anything. So they interrogated me. They never asked me, would you like an attorney? They never asked me, did you want to call anybody? Any of that. So they was like, ask me all these questions. They said, if you want to go home, we need to search your house. Well, I knew I didn't do anything. So I said, sure, okay. I let them search my house. Then after that, they said, okay, you can make a phone call. The police officer, around 5 o'clock in the morning, dropped me off to my house. And when I opened the door, my house was in shambles. Now you have to understand, I'm young, I'm 21 years old, I'm a young girl, I'm just trying to figure life out. They sliced my sofas up, they pulled out the stuffings, they pulled out my sanitary napkins, they went through the bathroom, they went through the bedroom, stuff was turned over.
So you mean to try to tell me all of this was done over a traffic stop?
Yes. Yeah, and see, that's why.
Over a traffic stop?
Yes. Okay. So, but it felt like a traffic stop to me, but they were looking for him. And because I picked him up, they followed us from his house to where we were going. So, I say all of that to say, I really didn't have to let them search my home.
No.
I could have asked them, do you have a warrant? But I'm scared. I don't know my rights. I don't know the rules. I don't know the law. And that's what happened to these young men. They didn't know rules. They didn't know the law. And let's just dive into it. It's 5 young men. If I miss a name, y'all help me out. We had Yusuf. We had Corey. We had
I'm kind of bad with the names too, but the ages ran from 14 to 16 years old.
Right.
Those are the ages that ran from that. And it's just a shame that the severe punishment came to the 16-year-old when they didn't have to trial him as an adult, but they chose to.
Yes.
They didn't have to, but they chose to
Yes.
try him as an adult. By them doing that, he spent 14 years in prison. Not in juvenile detention, in prison.
Yes.
Where the other 4 was classified as juveniles. And even a day or 2 in prison. I've worked in there for over 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just a day behind bars is no fun. Just a day is miserable.
You're absolutely right.
There's nothing like it. So I don't know if these guys or anybody that ever done time before, I know y'all can agree. Doing time, that ain't the way human beings are supposed to live, number one. We're not supposed to live behind bars and being able to, people telling you to wake up when it's time to wake up, go to bed. Your door slammed behind you, it's locked behind you, you can't come out for the next 8 hours to go. It's a different world than anybody that's never been locked up before has ever experienced before. It's tragic.
Shit, you better believe it. You got anything to add?
I mean, just looking at the documentary series just as a whole, and you look at the psychological damage that was done after they served the time, them looking at the years that passed, the families, the changes, and the times that they missed, that they can never get back. You can't, time is the currency of the earth, you know, that's something that you cannot get back. You know, you can get money back, you can possibly get relationships back, but you cannot get time back. And the fact that the time was taken away from them, the loved ones, the first girlfriend that they had, you know, the the parents and the parents trying to, like the father of the Hispanic one.
Yes.
That was trying to stick up for his son in front of his brother, like, no, he's not a rapist. Do not call him that.
Yes.
You know, he was not convicted. And I think those are the kind of things that people don't understand that creates this psychological cycle of trauma that, especially in minority communities that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And as you can see, for the Hispanic guy, what's his name? I don't want to keep calling him Hispanic.
I don't know.
Omar, maybe? I can't remember.
Was it oh?
I
It
can't
was
remember.
Omar. Because it's still fresh to me. But
Yes.
for example, like,
And I apologize for not taking notes. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Because I usually have stuff written down, but I was so emotional and passionate about
Yeah.
this that I was already upset. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm
And it's
sorry.
just like, for example, like he gets out, he's trying so hard not to go back in. He's trying so hard not to even put himself in a position to go back in, but he gets a girlfriend. He has his girlfriend, and they get the house together. He's like, well, I can pay to have if I get this second shift.
That's
if I
right.
get this, you know, and he doesn't get the shift. He actually gets laid off. And then now, what option does he have at this point? He's a rapist. He's a convicted rapist. He can't get a job. He has to check that box that the parole officer was telling him, hey, if you check this box, they're going to have you working. And you cannot even converse with other
Yes.
felons. So you're shutting every avenue down of a person being able to be employed at this point. What
Yes.
are they going to do? They're going to go back to their legal route and make the money quick, fast, and in a hurry because they trying to get it.
And the crazy thing was, they never knew each other except for Corey and Yusuf. Those were the only two that knew each other. Yusuf was a smart, bright young man, 15 years old. He played an instrument. He had aspirations of going to college. Because when they brought Yusuf in, it was like, stop trying to speak all proper to me. And he was like, I don't understand. And then Corey, it was crazy because when they pulled Corey, or Corey and Yusuf were walking, and they was like, just turn around, we don't want no trouble. Because what pissed me off was when the police and the detectives and they got together and they was like, you go down to the projects and you pull over every thug you see. Well, why are we looked at as thugs? So every young black man that they saw, they dehumanized them. They called them pretty much animals. They talked about, remember they talked about the slang. What is wilding? First of all, is wilding. And wilding just means tripping. And like a lot of the kids were like, man, they wilding out here. I'm just gonna go home because there's too much going on. I like what they said when they were like, when I watched the interview with Oprah. It's not like they didn't say they was tripping in the park, because a lot of the kids was tripping in the park. It was the first day of spring break. They was having a good time. And is that my baby? That's my sister. And they were having a good time, but they were into mischief. So they were very honest and clear about that. But the five of them had never been in any trouble. Ever. They had never been in any trouble.
And with that being said, you got 5 kids, basically, 16 on down to 14, that's never been in trouble before. One of them come from a background where the dad was at home.
Yes.
So that's what they look at. A lot of us come from broken homes. The mom is just taking care and the dad is off doing what he does, and they don't see each other. And then when they get together, it's all kinds of turmoil and everything. But this one kid, his dad was home. But come to find out throughout the course of the movie, his dad had been locked up. And they actually played the dad against the son.
Yes.
They actually played his father against him.
Yes.
By telling him, how long you been on your job? He was like, well, I've been there for like 10 years. Well, do they know that you've been locked up before, that you're a felon? Well, you need to tell your son, and you need to talk to your son and tell him to say exactly what we want him to say.
Yes.
So his dad was put in a very peculiar position.
They bullied him.
So it's like, when they get you, if you don't know the realm of law and how it's supposed to be projected or portrayed, they will get you.
They sure will.
They will get you. So I'm not saying that everybody busts open a book or whatever, but when we as black people, we sit down and have discussions like this, questions need to be asked. I may not know it, but I can look it up and find out.
Yeah.
You know, and they've always said, my grandmother says, it's a real terrible saying, that if you want to hide something from a black man, where do you put it?
In a book.
In a book.
In a book.
Because they'll never pick it up. That's our downfall.
And what I want to suggest, because because I'm a hairstylist and I see people regularly every day, my question was, since the movie came out, have you seen the movie? Oh, I've seen these, y'all. Okay. Excuse me. The question that I kept asking was, have you seen When They See Us? Oh, I can't watch that. I can't watch that. If you have children, preferably young black men, you really need to watch this because they are, I don't know why I keep sneezing. Okay. When you don't know, they can bully you. They said, oh, we're just going to put some bullet points. Do you guys remember the mother had left. She was sick. The little young black boy was left there by himself, and the police officer said, is it snowing outside? Because it must be Christmas. They made all of them sign their rights away, told them they did not need representation. Which was a lie, because as a juvenile, you can't do nothing to these kids without the parent. Without the parent being there. And see, that's another thing that they will get you with. Basically, they scared these kids to the point to where they didn't know what to say or do. Yeah. And when you're looking at it as an adult, even with my kids, if I sit my kids down when they were little like that, and got over top of them, and put so much pressure on them, I can probably get them to say what they want to say. That's where those kids were put in a position. They hadn't eaten in 48, was it 72 hours or 48 hours? I'm not sure. They hadn't eaten anything. They was like, well, you just tell on him, write this name down. You tell on him. So what they did, they pretty much had them blame one another. And then once they got them in like confinement together. A holding tank. A holding tank. They was like, you did that? He was like, no, who are you? And they was like, man, I'm sorry, bro, I lied on you, because they told me if I lied on you, I could go home. And that's just terrible to me, that a young black man's life is not valuable enough, where they don't care. They didn't care. They just, and the crazy thing was, the guy who did it that confessed years later, he said he had raped the woman, hit her over the head with a brick, was walking through the park with her Walkman on, with a bloody shirt, and the police were just running around and never even stopped him. He was like, I was just walking around with her stuff, bloody. And they never once said, hey. Because when it's all said and done, they're only looking for one certain person. Yep. Or one certain type of people. They wanted an easy case. So don't get it twisted. You know, like in this movie, it was a Puerto Rican. So it's people of color. It ain't just because Puerto Ricans are black. It ain't just there. Puerto Rican. It ain't just Hispanic. It's people of color. So it's like when you wake up in the morning and you go about your day, you got to prepare yourself for each and anything that may happen, because every day is a different day, and you never know a situation that you might be pulled into. But if you know a little bit about your rights, yes, you know how to exhibit your rights, then you have a say-so, and the police also know we just can't just bully this guy because he knows what's going on. Facts. But I'm gonna tell you this too. I know instances where when they do pull you over, some of them are so rotten, so dirty, that they will plant stuff. They will plant stuff. So you just gotta be extra, extra careful. I've always told my wife and kids that if you're in a rural area, what I mean rural country. Like that? Okay, yeah, basically. And you know you haven't done anything, the police try to pull you, you keep driving, okay, it's a high speed chase, whatever, but you go until there's some population of people and you pull over. Yes. So there'll be other eyes than just you and that person, or you and another cop or whatever, to witness what's going on, because you just don't know the outcome of things. And throughout our history, and people say, oh, I can't watch When They See Us, I can't watch that. Okay, we said the same thing when I was coming up. My mother and father said, well, you gonna sit here and watch Roots. It was hard for me to stomach Roots as a young kid. But you learn so much from it. So this movie, you're gonna learn. Yes.
It ain't about what you can stomach or I can't makes me mad. It's something about learning, and you're gonna learn something from watching this movie.
Because, do you have children?
No.
See, I don't have children, but I know you have 2 children. There's a conversation we as people of color have to have with our children, whether it's our kids or our nieces and nephews, that other races don't have to have, that white people don't have to have. Because I remember it was Yusef and Corey, and they were walking and they wanted Yusef. We said, oh, but he's not on the list. And then the police officer turns around and says, well, do you want to go with your friend? And Corey says, well, I guess I better, because if I don't, his mom will kill me. Now, if you look at the character Corey, and I'm calling him a character, he's really a true person, you can tell he was kind of slow when you dissected when they were in the restaurant, him and his little girlfriend. Okay, she was like, how come you never eat at school? If you came to school more often, you wouldn't be so hungry. But I believe he had a learning disability. You can tell when they started interrogating him, because he wasn't even on the list. He wasn't supposed to be there. And he was like, read this. He was like, I don't read good. He didn't read well. He never went to school because he had a hard time understanding. And he probably just used to just hang out till school got out, and then he would eat with his girlfriend. And his mother was a drug addict. So he was kind of lost anyway. And Corey was the only one. It broke my heart when I got to episode 4, because what I love, what Ava DuVernay did was she broke down each individual person and told their story. When I watched the interview with Oprah, that was the first time that they had ever really known what happened to one another. But some of them were in juvenile together, but they thought Corey just got treated just like they did. Corey wasn't even supposed to be there, and he spent the longest time. That was crazy to me, and I was so glad that Ava DuVernay didn't show rape, but I absolutely, positively know rape was involved.
Oh yeah. Now, I've worked behind bars for like 21 years, and I've seen some things that I really don't want to discuss, but I've seen some things.
Right.
Been around some things, stabbings, killings.
Yes.
I've been around a lot of things by me working 21 years behind bars. But the thing is that that's a life that nobody wants to experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what walk of life you come from or anything. That's a life that you do not want to experience. That life will change you as a person in so many ways that you just couldn't imagine. Psychologically, it just drains you.
Yeah.
It literally drains you. You get up every day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see these same people that you see every day for 15, 20, how many years you got left to do. You're going to see these people.
Look at
For over 20-some years, you will see them. Nothing changed in your environment.
On the
You're
counter.
going to be eating the same stuff, like the little baked chicken and the little trays that you get. You may get a treat every so often on a holiday, 4th of July, they'll do a little something different. Christmas, they'll do a little something different to give you a little sense of the free world.
Right.
But in all actuality, there's no such thing as a free world for them.
You better believe
It's just a point of survival. When you look at Corey, he got to the point to where he was tired of getting beat up.
Mm-hmm.
He was tired of getting manipulated to where when the white guys in the little dorm had jumped him, and then the officer comes in and says what's going on, Corey already know he can't snitch. And people that's ever been in the prison before knows.
Yeah.
I mean, times are changing now, but back in the day, they took that seriously.
Yeah.
So if you was a snitch, you couldn't walk on the yard with everybody else.
Because I remember the officer the guard told him, hey, next time you get hurt, you don't go to the infirmary. You ask for solitary confinement, because snitches go to the infirmary.
Exactly.
That boy pretty much lost his mind in solitary confinement. The part that broke my heart most was when he was in solitary confinement, the air wasn't working, he was butt naked, and he was fantasizing. He used to keep fantasizing, playing over and over in his head again, I'll be right back. Talking to his girlfriend, right? I'll be right back. And then he played in his mind a different choice, a different decision. And she was like, in the room with him in his mind. And she was like, he said, I want to do something. And he was like, we'll do whatever you want to do. And so they said, I want to go to Coney Island. And he's in Coney Island and he's free and they're riding rides. And he had to find out that his sister died in there, you know, and it was just crazy the abuse that young man suffered in there. And I don't know if y'all noticed when the Spanish guy got out of jail and his father gave him a pair of boxers. Mm-hmm. And when he was showering, he had the boxers on. Mm-hmm. Well, when I watched the interview with Oprah,
I'm gonna tell you, I haven't even seen the interview, but by me being in the walls for so long, working so long, it's evident why they wear boxers.
Yeah, this is what they said. He was like,
so guys won't be looking at their butts trying to figure out what they got in there. And I'm gonna tell you, people don't understand where sagging come from. Sagging don't come from prison. That's not where it comes from. Sagging came from slavery days.
Okay.
When they wanted to degrade you, when you done something wrong, they would take you out in the field, they will strip you down, they will beat you in front of your people, they get a whole village to watch it. And from that point on, they will make you pull your pants halfway down so they can visually see what just happened to you.
Wow.
That's where sagging come from.
Wow.
So if you think you starting a fad or this is where it started from, read on some books and figure out where it comes from. It comes from slavery days, from when they started doing things to us to humiliate us and degrade us, so the other ones can see exactly what's going to happen if they step out on line like that. And everybody will know when this kid is walking around amongst the village that he done got in trouble. That's why his pants are like that.
Well, Yusuf said, I know when I went to penitentiary, he said, first of all, we thought Corey was getting the same treatment that we were. We had no idea he went through that. And he also said, there are two things when people go to jail, rape and molestation, are the worst. Two, and so we were prepared. So when we saw, I think the Spanish guy in the shower with his boxers on, we were like, whoa, when they watched the screen. And he said, because we all wore our boxers when we got home. Because we all wore our boxers when we were locked up. He said, because you know the saying, don't drop the soap. So if you have your boxers on in the shower, and we were young, we were kids. He said, if you have your boxers on, then if you do, you know, you got your drawers on, you got a fighting chance. He said, so we had no idea that he did that too. We all did that.
I'm going to tell you something else. Again, I keep telling you where I worked at and all that, but I've had, or have seen inmates, convicts, whatever you want to call them, sleep with their boots on. And somebody that's out there that's been locked up, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They would actually sleep with their boots on. Because it's so much of a survival thing behind the walls. You just don't know from day to day if anybody's going to come in and try to jump you. So you just want to have a fighting chance.
Yes.
You just want to have some type of fighting chance to survive that day. It's a day-to-day survival. And Corey lived that. He lived a day-to-day survival. And for a 16-year-old kid, just going into an adult world like that. If you can remember in the movie, when he came in through those walls, his first time getting locked up, he was holding on to all his gear and everything.
Yes.
And everybody was trying to get at him, you know, whistling at him and all that. Could you imagine the psychological warfare that was going on in his brain? You're a 16-year-old boy, not a man.
Not a man.
Boy, going into a male penitentiary where you got 25 to 35 to 45-year-old men. They know you're a little boy. And at that particular time, they don't have no sympathy for you.
No.
They don't. You're just one of those. You're just one of them. So however they gonna manipulate you, they gonna manipulate you. If it's sexually or if it's extorting money from you, that's what they do. That's what they do. Times have changed now since I've been on my way out or have gotten out to where now there's no code in the penitentiary no more. But back then, there was a code. If you was a homosexual, you couldn't walk the yard. If
Right.
you was a child molester, you couldn't walk the yard. You couldn't do it. You wouldn't survive. Nowadays, they eat dinner together, they play cards together, they do it all together.
So, question, I know, Michelle, you haven't seen it. You've seen it. I just want to know, when you saw the series, how did it make you feel? Especially you having children, and I have a 19-year-old nephew. How did it make you feel?
Well, I mean, I know for me, I'm originally from Oakland, California.
Okay.
And grew up in a town called Richmond. And I had to, firsthand, I've seen police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen police kill people. I've seen it all, and I've had a personal experience, where I was wrongly accused of committing a crime.
Mm-hmm.
And they had someone else that was actually committing the crime. And I had to go to court and everything like that, and I had to deal with the actual judicial system, and I had to deal with that by myself. My mom wasn't there, my family wasn't there, no one showed up to support me, and the part that really got me, actually, I cried a little bit, I teared up, because there's a part where his brother dies, Norman dies, and the priest calls him into the room, and he's having a conversation with the priest. And basically, he turns around when he's about to leave, and he says no one cares about him. And that part of no one caring about you touched me very deep, because when you're in a situation like that and you're dealing, your mom can't visit you, and your mom's not around, and your only sibling dies, and you're just this forgotten person, and you're being stabbed and raped and brutalized on a daily basis, and you have no one. And then the only person that you kind of had that kept that thought of someone loves me in this world alive dies, he snapped.
Yeah, he did.
He lost it. And I feel like, it goes into the psychological aspect of not even just that situation, but just in general, especially with African Americans. I had this conversation with one of my best friends. We talk about mental, illness, depression, and PTSD and stuff like that. I know for me, like even still to this day, like I'm not in the ghetto, I'm not in the hood, but out here, and
you look around.
Be like, I'm like, no, or I have a dream, that I'm back in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so I feel like that stuff exists. And I know coming from a religious background, that's nothing but the devil. You hear that all the time. That's nothing but the devil. That's, pray it away. And I feel like, yes, but then there is a certain aspect where no, there's something mentally wrong. You've seen a lot of trauma. You've seen that, like me, I've seen as a child, my mom had to sweep bullet cases on the front door. We would go outside, my mom said, don't look to the right, don't look to the left. I open my eyes, I get smacked when I see, because in the neighborhood I grew up in, if there was so much murder happening that literally the cops and the ambulance wouldn't show up until the morning.
Wow.
So the bodies would be sitting out there eroding until the morning time, daylight, where you can actually see the carnage that happened, that took place. You see the gunshots. My mom will put stuff near the door. She'll barricade us in the house. We'll wake up in the morning. She say, whatever you do, do not look left or right. You look straight, you look down.
Wow.
You've seen babies shot in strollers. You'll come out. My image that always is in my mind is a guy propped over. I don't think he was a guy. He probably was like a teenager.
Probably so.
Propped over. He had a cap on. The cap was on the floor. He had a do-rag on. And it's just noodles. His head was blown off. You know what I'm saying? And like, to be a little kid.
Like, tell me what age you were, you think. Because I'm going to do a comparison.
5, 6.
Okay, so you're 5 or 6 and you remember that vividly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine those babies were 13, 14, 15, 16. And they were locked up for 13 years. The things that they've seen. The young man where his father came in and they pretty much manipulated him and was like, ask him, well, do they know you're locked? Do they know that you've been locked up? And he just comes in because he's so afraid he's gonna lose his job now. Just say whatever they tell you to say so you can come home.
And he used the fear to get his own father to come and convince him and get in his face about it.
And then the father feels so bad because I think that baby may have been 14 years old. He was one of the younger ones. That he leaves the house. He abandons the mother in this time. He never comes to court. Then when he finally comes to court, the baby's going to the penitentiary. When you watch the Oprah interview, every person in the audience, the cast, they were sobbing because he was like, I lost my mom. The mom passed before When They See Us came out. I lost my mom. He was like, and he said, I lost my mom, and I hate him because I wasn't supposed to be there. He didn't stand up for me. And my thing is,
well, the dad, not to cut you off, but the dad was in a peculiar spot. He was really in a spot to where he really didn't know what to do, and the police knew that. They manipulated him because they held something over top of his head to let him know that if you don't get your son to tell us what we want him to tell us, then we'll go back to your job and tell him that you're a convicted felon, you're gonna lose your job. So he was in a real peculiar situation. Okay, if he says I'm gonna ride with my son, then he loses his job.
Yes.
They don't have him. They out on the street. They don't have anything. If he tells his son, which if it was between me and my son, I'll take the rap. I won't have a job than to let my son go to prison.
Yeah.
I will not have a job. But he was in a situation to where he didn't know what to do. He really didn't know what to do. And in turn, he decided, okay, he's a juvenile. He ain't gonna do but maybe so many years because the police said he ain't gonna do. But the police manipulated and lied on paperwork and everything else. And I think he's the one that done like eight years in the juvenile detention.
Yes.
Corey was the only one that done 14
years. And what broke my heart about Corey was every time he went up for parole, they would say, just admit it. He said, I'm not going to do that. I didn't do it. I'm not going to do that. Okay, go back to your cell. And you could tell as you watched episode 4, the comfort that came toward the end. Like, well, hey, I'm going to die here. This is where I'm going to be. So I might as well just get comfortable. And to see a young man, time waits for no one, not even time. That's why I always say, if you love somebody, tell them you love them. If somebody hurts you, say I'm sorry. Or even if you're not wrong, say you're sorry. Or if they apologize, just take it. Because in the blink of an eye, life can change. I remember being that kid growing up in A-Leaf. Just outside, having fun, going to parties. And who's to say they couldn't have gathered us all up and was like, hey, y'all did it. Mm-hmm. Did what? They didn't know. They didn't know. And I used to, why did they call it When They See Us? And then when I watched, when they see us, they don't give a damn. When they see us, you're nothing but a number. And
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But I often, as I was watching and looking at that title, I started thinking about When They See Us, right?
Let's talk about the title.
And you look at they. What about when we see us?
That's the conversation Vince and I had the other day we were talking.
When we see each other.
Yeah, when do we see each other? I mean,
do we see what they see?
I think that's a discussion. That's probably another discussion that a very important topic.
Let's talk about it.
Because when we see each other.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna plan that with the movie. If you can remember the people that seen the movie, when Corey goes in, I think this was the first penitentiary the second penitentiary that he goes to. Mm-hmm. It was a black officer that treated him like boo-boo.
Yes.
He was actually holding on to the bars and asking him to help.
And
he pries his hands off. So
how,
like you said, how do we see each other?
Terrible.
We see each other. Sometimes we see each other worse than what they see.
Yeah, that bothers me. That bothers me.
When you have an officer and he's in there and he sees that you're under distress and you need help, but yet and still he's just going to pull your hands around. He's looking at you as if they look at you the same way. I don't care nothing about you. Go do what you do.
Because in their mind, they've already said they're guilty. Y'all raped this woman. Even when the evidence said no, even when
there was no DNA.
There was no DNA.
They couldn't put the times together. The rape occurred in one spot. The kids was at another spot.
Yes.
It was just so much stuff that wasn't right, but they were so determined to get somebody of color for this crime. And lo and behold, at the end of the movie, it was somebody of color, but it wasn't a black kid.
Right.
It was an Hispanic kid. Right. And the only way they got Corey out of jail was that they got DNA of this Hispanic kid that already had committed previous crimes.
3 more rapes, and he killed one of them.
That's how they got the DNA, and that's how Corey got out. But the movie was so good the way they put everything together to where he actually, I think the Hispanic dude knew he knew who he was.
Yes, that was what I was going to say.
And he knew that Corey was doing time for him.
When he first met him.
When he first seen him.
Because
right.
He's sweeping. Old boy is watching the DMX video. Corey says, turn that up. He was like, I ain't doing that. Fast forward the tape. The same young man comes up to him at a different penitentiary and says, I just want to apologize for what I did. And then he was like, do you have faith? And Corey's like, are you trying to convert me? He was like, no, I see that you're strong. I see that you're hopeful. And I see that you have faith. Don't ever give that up. And then he goes to what was the other prosecutor? She wasn't a prosecutor. And I think she was Spanish. She had glasses and dark hair.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have to say something. He was like, I have to confess my sins. Because by this time, now he's saved, some type of religion. And he was like, I did that. And this young man is serving my time.
Wow.
And instead of the people like, oh my God, I've made a mistake, I apologize, I'm sorry. Oh, he's just a 6th member. Even Donald Trump, he put out 4 ads. I think he spent like $400,000 plus saying they should be executed. You talking about killing. That's again, when they see us, we mean nothing.
And here we go.
Just kill them.
Here we go, Donald Trump, 1989.
Donald Duck. Come on, Tangerine.
1989, and look what we have in 2019. 1989, 2019.
If y'all have questions, please feel free to chime in.
To see if there were any questions.
Yeah, they just watching. And then if y'all want to just watch the conversation, because next week I'm going to have 3 young people on the show. We're going to talk about the same thing between the ages of 16 and I believe 21, because I want to see how this affected young people, because it really affected us as adults. When you can make a grown man cry, the episode 1, I'm angry. First, it was hard for me to watch. I kept stopping. I said, Mimi, just watch it. By the time I got to episode, I think it was 3, when they're getting out of jail, and the poor Spanish guy, he just can't catch a break. His parole officer sits him at a booth, he takes him to eat. He was like, look, fill out the applications. You're going to have to check the box. If you don't check the box and they find out, you go back to jail. If you don't check the box and you're working with somebody who's been convicted, you're going back to jail. Even if it's unknowingly. They have to know.
Let's talk about felons just a second.
Yeah.
When we're talking about felons in the movie, felons in the street the same way. You cannot, as a convicted felon, you can't hang around with another felon. It's so many stipulations that it's almost like
set up to go back.
That's the bottom line. You are set up to go back. Because if you don't meet your job requirements at a certain, you're supposed to be there 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. You come 8:05, you lose your job, guess where you go? Back to the penitentiary.
Yep. And they treat you like trash. I had a young man on my show a few months ago. It was like when season 2, I call it season 2, beginning of the year. And he had served 13 years on a 30-year bid. And when he got out, he had a monitor on his ankle, and he couldn't find a job. Well, if you can't find a job because you got the monitor on your ankle, you can't pay your parole officer, you're going back to jail. So I'm like, well, just come with me, and have somebody.
Wait, you gotta pay your parole off?
Yes.
Yes. You
It's
gotta
some
pay. You
money,
gotta
right?
pay
It's a
dues.
big money racket.
You gotta pay dues. So
how do you get a job if you don't have a job? How do you pay your parole officer? You go back to doing the
What's,
same
Same
thing.
thing you was doing.
what's the average you have to pay the parole officer?
It varies.
30, 50.
A week, a month?
every time you
I have
go,
no idea, but I know it varies sometimes.
yeah, you have to pay because you're paying the state back, I believe, or something like that. I'll find out. But my thing is, he had an ankle monitor on, so he couldn't get a job because every time they saw the ankle monitor, they wouldn't hire him. And if you don't have a job, then you can't pay your fees. And if you can't pay your fees, what do? You go back to what you know. It's like they can't vote when they come home. It's like they're really not free. And there's two types of freedom. Who the sun sets free is free indeed. That's a freedom.
Yes.
But until we as a people, black people, brown people, are free in our minds and start looking at the world for what it really is, I always tell people, this is not we shall overcome. This is a different type of black people. And if we ever really come together, really come together, we'll be a powerful people. Because these young kids, they don't see color.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna get a little deep.
Get deep as you want.
Because back
Hey,
in the
everybody.
day, during slavery days, was probably the most tight knit that we've ever been. Because all we had was each other. We didn't have nothing else. So we were relying on each other to take care of each other. We had a village, people feeding each other. You come over here and eat. You can come over there and eat. It's just so much togetherness. And then after that, what I seen the next time that we all came together was with Martin Luther King. We all came. You can see us as gravitating as a people as a whole to where we were together for a certain cause. We was marching together for a certain cause. It's so deep to where you just don't understand the mindset. And you talked about the Willie Lynch syndrome. The stuff that he talked about is still going on in this day.
It's embedded. It's in the DNA.
It's a psychological warfare that was embedded into our heads way back in the slavery day. And it's still applying to this day.
Yes.
It's still applying to this day.
Yes.
The light-skinned blacks per se, when we all came over from the slave ships here, we were all dark complected.
Everybody.
Okay, so when the light-skinned slave came apart, how do you think they came apart? They raped our women. So that baby went into the house. They were servants. They took care of the kids. They washed clothes. They done all those things for them. They cooked all those things for them. So they had an entitlement to where, oh, I'm better than y'all. Y'all out there sweating and doing this and doing. I don't have to do that. But you don't understand, you're still a slave.
And they pitted us against one another.
That's how it all got started. That's how you got pitted against one another.
Yep.
Because they felt like, I don't have to go out there and sweat and pick cotton. I can stay up here and take care of him and take care of them and eat halfway decent and all that type. I don't sleep out there with you guys. None of that.
Right.
So all that's still kind of embedded in us. And you said it before, we hate to see each other do good for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
And I feel like what I've noticed, because I feel like there's a constant gathering in times of oppression. We gather, we react, we come together in times when we are oppressed. Or when times when we're thriving, when we're actually doing well. What about those times? What about when President Obama becomes president and everybody's kumbaya? What about marching and still fighting even harder after the fact versus sitting back and saying, okay, we got one in office, we're gonna chill back and he's gonna do everything.
Well, he couldn't do anything.
He couldn't, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a constant reaction.
Yeah.
We're reacting to things that are happening versus being proactive. And obviously we're getting away from the documentary series in some way, shape, or form, but I feel like in my thought process when I watch these things, I always look about solutions. How do we, in the 21st century, because we're not in the 20th century, so certain things that were done in the 20th century can't be done in the 21st century. crazy is doing the same thing over and over again,
That's
expecting
insanity.
different results.
That's insanity.
So marching maybe worked in the 20th century. Is that going to work in the 21st century? Let's just be real.
So let's talk about solutions. What can we do so a 1989 Central Park 5 won't happen again? First, let's start with educating our children.
That's the key. And people always say, we got to be more smart. We got to read. We got to ask questions. We got to get away from a lot of things that's keeping us from doing the reading and asking questions and stuff like that. I'm not saying you can't have fun as a young adult. I had fun as a young adult. But you got to get your priorities. Me and my wife talk about our kids all the time. Get your priorities in check.
Yes.
Do the things that's going to make you successful. Hang around with people that you know is going to do good things.
Amen.
When you start hanging around with people that you know ain't doing good things, the results is going to be just that. You're going to end up doing something that you're going to regret.
Yeah.
When you pick up a pistol and put it in your pocket, nobody carries a gun around with the intention not to use it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make that decision in your brain to go run up in a bank, you got to understand the outcome of that when you get caught.
Amen.
You got to understand that. And I can understand, well, I got to take care of my family. I got to do this. I got to do that. Everything, like I try to tell people, there's some things that I want in this world that I can get. It's going to take me a long time to get them. I can get them. I can live in a nice house. I can have a nice car. But it's going to take me a good while to get that. I just can't just go and
It
buy
don't
it.
just happen overnight.
So it's a grind that you go through. You don't have to do the things you do to be a Corey or be falsely accused like a Corey and a Youssef. And you don't have to do those things. You can get falsely accused by just going out in the street and being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to tell
So
you.
the educated is put yourself around people that's doing positive things. And you'll learn to adapt to that. Just like when you're in the hood, you'll learn to adapt to what's going on in the hood.
Yeah.
I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. I left when I was 15 years old. I left and got sent all the way down here to Killeen, Texas, where I found structure. That's where I found structure. Because I got away from all the stuff that was going on down there. I found structure there. And the people that I was hanging with was dealing with sports and that type of thing, and I just fell right into that realm. You just got to be able to understand, even when you grow up in that environment, there's still a way out. It's always a way out.
Amen.
It's decisions that you make that put you in these situations.
And we need to educate. I think we need to do more educating our children.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to work as a team to do that.
Amen.
That's very important. We need to talk with our children in some kind of way, figure out a way where we can get our kids to listen to us. Because sometimes they don't listen to us.
Oh
they think we don't know
God.
what we're talking about.
Oh my God.
And we're trying to help them. We just don't want them to make the mistakes that we make. We know they're going to make mistakes because that's how you learn, that's how you grow.
Yes.
But at the same time, for some reason, this generation thinks, they think a
They
different
tell
way.
them
They don't want to listen to us.
No.
You know, and that's why I think, I didn't see the movie. I saw clips of it. I've heard about it. My husband shared some information on it. I'm going to watch it, but it just what I've heard so far, what I've seen is just, it's breathtaking for me. But what do we do to educate our children? What do we do to get them to listen to us? Because I just can't imagine being that mother, seeing my child locked up for something that he didn't do.
Right.
And he's missing out on all these things as a result of the way the system worked and still works.
Because it's supposed to be justice system.
Yeah.
But there's no justice.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed
It's
to
not built for us. It's built to put us in those
yeah,
cages.
it's supposed to be, innocent until proven guilty, not guilty
Until proven innocent.
There's a perception there, but there's a perception. There's a perception of it. You get in the
Well,
elevator with the lady, she thinks that, she grabs a purse. That's true. They think that there's a perception of a young black male. And, we just need to do more.
The media is our biggest enemy because every time.
They paint the picture.
Yes.
And our young kids kind of fall into it. What do you think the solution is?
I mean, I think on top. First of all, obviously that's imperative. The solution has to be to educate your kids and make them knowledgeable of the law and how to not only of the law but how to conduct themselves. How does the world see you? You know, parents have to be real with their kids. Hey, look, if you wear that, you gonna look like this. Period. Point blank.
Exactly.
And if you go in here looking like that, this is what you have to do.
Exactly.
You know, because I remember when I was growing up in my neighborhood, you know, innocent kids were getting shot like in their head, and it was just crazy. So, and I was dressing like a drug dealer. You know, I had my hoodie on. I had, you know, black hoodie. I used to wear the same thing every day. Black hoodie, do-rag, cap.
Because you want to be the trend.
You know what I'm saying?
I
start seeing people getting shot, my friends getting shot, and I'm like, okay.
Becomes the norm.
So I changed it up. I started wearing button-ups.
That's right.
Tucking in, had my nice shoes on, wasn't wearing Air Forces, Jordan. You know, I changed up my whole style because I wasn't getting harassed by the police. I wasn't, when I changed how my appearance for a second, and I'm not saying change yourself, but what I'm saying, be knowledgeable.
Find yourself.
And the system is a system. It's not going to change.
No.
It's not going to change. And I feel like on top of that, it has to be a way, okay, you make mistakes. If you serve in time, once you get out and you served your time, you made your mistake, you hung out with the wrong people, it's going to happen. You got arrested, you got into a fight, you got this happened. You get out of jail, you served your time. That should be it. You shouldn't have to go to Burger King or wherever you're trying to get a job at and tell them, yeah, I committed a crime in the past. We all got skeletons in our closet.
So
we all done things.
There needs to be some changes, you're saying.
The
Like
law.
once a person serves their time, that should be it.
That should be it.
Give them a chance because they can vote. It's so many things they can do once they get out.
And it really should be rehabilitation.
Yes.
It should be a process. It should, okay, you're gonna pay for your crime. After you get out, we're gonna help you we're gonna deal with the psychological trauma of paying for your crime. We're gonna deal with, okay, you've been out of commission for a certain amount of time. You may not be aware of the technology that's out now. You may not be aware of the new work environment. We're gonna help you get a job, a nice job. We're gonna help you get back in school, a real school. You know, we're gonna really rehabilitate you and make you appreciate this time that you had to sit in this room to think about the crime that you committed.
Yes. Well, I think, before I close it out, kids, if the situation comes about, stay calm.
Please.
Don't pop off. These kids, they be quick to pop off. Getting all emotional. Stay calm. Your emotion is power. So keep your temper down, especially young men, because they look at us as animals anyway. So stay calm. Second of all, if you go to a holding tank, first thing you do if you're under 17, you ask for your parent and you ask for an attorney. You ask for legal aid. Because once you ask for legal aid, they cannot question you. It stops. And that's what they did in this movie. They
knew these kids didn't know.
They knew they didn't know. So they tricked them and asked them all these questions. The only one that stopped it was Yusef's mom. No. She was like, "You've been questioning my son without me being present?"
And she went right up in there and got him out that minute.
She just said, "Give me my son." The only thing they could do was give her his son. So my thing is, educate yourselves, and to parents and to aunties and to uncles, we need to get educated too. We need to know, okay, if our child goes to jail or if my nephew goes to jail, what do I do? What do I do so he doesn't end up in the system? Because once you become you are that forever. You're no longer your name. You're a number. And life becomes very difficult. Very difficult. I believe that if that happens to your child, if you're a young man or a young woman that goes to jail, please get some therapy when you come home. You are going to need it. Did you say you had PTSD from the things that happened to you? Black people, we have to start having therapy because therapy is helpful. It helps you to have a listening ear, and the therapist is going to give you tools to help you make it through that. You know, one of the young men, he was like, his wife says, my wife says I need therapy. The one who dad told him, just say whatever. And he said, but I don't want therapy. I want to feel this way because I know I didn't do what I didn't do that.
And I feel like stop running away from your problems. Stop running away from the things that are affecting you.
Yes.
You know, because I feel like a lot of times, especially, we run to substance. We may run to alcohol. We may run to weed. We may run to some sort of drug. And it's like at the end of the day, you know, that's escapism. You trying to escape. You need to find a productive way to release. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to feel depressed.
But deal with your issues.
Right.
Deal with what's in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with what's going on around you.
Right.
You know, I've been blessed enough to know that I'm not living in the same place. Even growing up, you don't know you're poor until you grow up. And like, shit, I was poor. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the beauty of it when I think about it. Like in the neighborhood when I grew up in Baltimore, everybody had a pair of tennis shoes with a hole around them.
That was just the norm.
A piece of cardboard out of it. We made skateboards out of like a steel little skate, and we nailed it up against a piece of wood. But everybody made it, so you didn't know no better. So when you got those things, everybody was happy.
Yeah.
Happy. No, everybody had holes in their shirts. They going to school, you know, any kind of way.
Right.
But if the whole neighborhood was like that, when somebody had a barbecue, everybody ate at that house.
Yes.
No, everybody came and ate.
Yes.
Everybody knew we had a house that everybody hung out at. So your parents knew where you at. They didn't have to worry about you. Oh, he got a pair of Air Jordans and so we're trying to figure out what you doing. How did you get those?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying everybody has to be the same. No, this is 2019. You don't have to be the same. But the thing is that you got to understand you and the decision. I always tell my kids all the time, your decisions will make you or break you.
Yeah.
I don't care who you hang around with. What you're doing, it's a decision that's going to get you where Corey and them was, and they wasn't even really, they didn't do a crime.
Yep.
So just imagine if you did do a crime.
Right.
Your decisions is going to make you or break you. If you hanging around and you know the stuff that you're doing ain't right, you better be prepared because something eventually it's going to come to it. Every criminal that's ever done it, the best that's ever done it, Al Capone, Noriega, the best that's ever done it, will be caught.
Yes, indeed.
And with this movie was such a good teacher, I advise again, if you have not seen this movie the whole way through, I think it's 4 episodes, take the time. And you say you can't watch it, you can watch it. It's going to be painful, some of it, but you need to take the time to watch it all the way through because it's so educational. And you need to let your kids watch it. Because it's so educated. This is 1989 when this happened. Technology now is so critical because 89 we didn't have the cell phones and all that type of stuff. Everything that you see going on now with cell phones was going on back in 1989. But you couldn't record it. So we was really victims back then.
Yes.
We were really getting shot up and stuff back then. But now, you can put a camera on and say, this is injustice. Everybody gets so mad. Oh, look at that. They shouldn't do that. But how long does that happen before you go back into your daily living? You'll look at it and you may be mad for about 2 or 3 weeks and then you just settle on down to your living.
Right back into what you was doing. I agree. So thank you guys so much for coming and sharing your views. If you guys have any questions, we're going to talk about this again next week. Like I said, young adults. We're going to have young adults on the panel because I really want to know how, when they see us, affected them. Because sometimes we talk at kids. We don't talk to them. And we don't listen. That's why I think they're so aggressive. We don't listen to what they have to say. And I really want to know. I have 3 talented, educated, well-mannered kids on my show this week. They're my nieces. They're my niece and my nephew. And I'm not just saying that because they are. I mean, they're all, 2 of them are in college. One is about to be a senior in high school. And they're all doing well. And they've all watched when they see us. If kids can watch when they see us and take something away, we as adults, they're banking on us not watching this. They're banking on us not asking questions. They're banking on us not wanting to know because it hurts too much. Well, guess what comes from pain? Growth. So we're going to have to feel a little pain and watch this so we can grow. And tell our kids, hey, you know, you can be in a situation, like you said, anything can happen. Hanging with your friends. Start making great decisions. If greatness lives in you, you have to make great decisions in order to be great. And you don't want to have to go trials and turmoil and tribulations to get to greatness. These people were awarded $41 million, but that cannot give them back their time. And they didn't get $41 million. After they paid their attorneys, after they lost loved ones, that money means absolutely nothing. Because they could have been the next Barack Obama. They could have been the next attorney. They could have been the next filmmaker. You don't want to go through those types of things to be great. So, you'll do me a favor, you'll stop the camera after I do my little saying. So remember to laugh. Remember to love. Remember to be the light and always bear good fruit. This is hashtag I'm just saying. See you next week. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to tune in. I'm not going to have an alcoholic beverage next week, all right?